One of my buddies just came downstairs here and he asked a really good question. Shit, let me turn on the mic. One of my buddies just came downstairs and asked a really good question. Hey, you want to get over here? Okay, well, um, he said that I endorsed, um, you know, a sinful action. And, a couple videos ago, this is something I want to talk about, is that the line and the value between what is right and what is wrong is getting thinner and thinner. Okay? God dang it. Okay, does anybody remember like things and how like cash, like money schemes, um, like uh, get rich quick stuff, um, is like super popular? What the fuck is it? Oh, I got a rocking chair here. I like just fixed that. I'm like, dude, I just made this whole little like, podcast area. Anyway, um, so we talk about this, and this actually happened to me. So I'll stay with what happened to me. So I'm driving down the road. And I got my Volvo 2001. It's kind of a, I wouldn't say it's a piece, but it's 2001. It's 20 years old, and this brand new like Dodge Charger pulls up, like same year, brand new. Um, and he pulls up. And he skeets right in front of me, right? And this is a practice called brake checking. And people, um, like I said, it's like a thing. So, and the process is the bad guy swerves in front of somebody who presumably has bad brakes, and then slams on the brake. Okay, and then they, oh my back, oh my back. Scully brake check somebody, right, for insurance money. Right, all we gotta do is find some sucker out there with some shitty car. He won't be able to stop in time. And I'm cruising through a freeway underpass. It's like a bright white car, and you know how there's like yellow ambient lights in there and shit. As soon as he got into the noonday sunlight, he stopped his car like on a dime. I could see his, but the car was like invisible as my eyes like transferred. Um, but like, nonetheless, I slammed on the brakes. I started like fishtailing a little bit, and I like just barely nicked him. I was so upset. It was by like an inch. It was going like 0 miles an hour. And they fucking both get out of the fucking car, and they're, oh my back, oh my back. You know, let's get the, it's like, all we have to do is that, find some sucker and fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like, anyway, it's like, who's really paying is like their justification. They're like, well, the fucking, you know what I'm saying? It's like, there's no penalty to me, and there's no penalty to him, because the insurance is going to pay for it. And like, the reality is that my insurance paid for like an entire year of work for the dude because he lied, and now I'm paying like $150 extra a fucking month. And like I said, that will be held account to you. It's like there's a sin penalty for the actions we take against others. Um, there's a sin penalty, and who knows what that fucking looks like? I don't. But I do know that as things like this get made known, so he told me, he said, dude, it sounded like you just like endorsed, house fires. And but like when you, like I said, so the Bible and God say, never judge a man until you've walked in their shoes. And when you have entire communities who live with rats in the house, and they live with, constant just dependency on the state or whatever, and they're always late. The state expects us to like fend for ourselves. It was like, uh, but like, and I just got paid, and I'm talking about they took $250 worth of taxes from me. So I make $15 an hour, and I just got $250 taken out in taxes. Okay? My $1,200 paycheck on the dot was $950 for a really, like, one of the, like I said, I was making $15 an hour. That's standard wage. But this job was labor intensive. Nonetheless, $250 every 2 weeks. I said, holy shit, that's like, so I got enough money to make bills, you know what I'm saying? And that's it. I don't even have enough. Like I said, if I was living at a rehab today, okay, so this is another issue that's huge right now, is that there's nowhere to live. Okay? There's nowhere to live. Literally, they say, oh, we'll just go to a halfway house. Okay, I can go to a halfway house, but it's going to cost me $300 a week. Okay, and as somebody who makes $15 an hour, it's it's so nonetheless the homeless community is growing rapidly. Let's just say that, um, because people want a chance to get ahead. That's what they need, really, is a chance to get back on their feet. Okay. Now, if I wanted to pay $1,200 a month to live somewhere, I'd have my own fucking place, and I wouldn't fucking, you know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, I believe they should be 150 with, you know what I'm saying, federal fucking, you know what I'm saying, stimulus or whatever the fuck. I'm a hard believer that people need to earn their place in society. I'm a hard believer that they need to put forth a valuable effort. I'm a firm believer that it does something to the man's spirit to having earned it. I'm a firm believer that, like I said, through the course of, doing different things, we build up our character. I'm a firm believer in maintaining, productivity in society. I'm a firm believer in that. So like I said, that's what I would do right now. I would say, if you have enough money, open a fucking halfway house, even if it's just one house, and just say fucking rent. Put it on Craigslist. That's like what the world needs most. Have some ground rules. Don't do it for profit. That's the thing, is that good people are starting to profit off of the needy. So like, if you can afford this investment, if you have, let's say, $300,000 in the bank just sitting there, go buy a house and sell the rooms in it. You know what I'm saying? But sell them for, like, not for profit, but just to cover expenses. That's what people need in order to save up the money. So I bought a 4-bedroom house for $350,000, and there's 8 people living there. $150 a week. I just gave myself a new hobby as a rich person or whatever. Checking up on the house. You know what I'm saying? If anybody's being a fucking nuisance, tell me about it on this fucking wall. I'm a man of this community. My fucking daughters live in this community. And I know you guys need a second chance, and I'm going to give it to you. But you got to meet the standards that are required in this community. Tell me why there's no places like that out here. Right? That's what they teach in rehab. It's just too much money. That's all. You know. We really need to step up as people and understand that once you have your midlife crisis, and everybody will have theirs, that too often than not, there's nowhere to recover once you've had it. Okay, and your midlife crisis is where everything will change. And it happens at different times for everybody. But the people who do have housing, you know, their mentality is, hey, babe, you know, we can actually cut rent in half if we just rent out the back room for $800. You know what I'm saying? We'll have, you know, it's like we'll split our fucking $1,800 entire payment, internet, lights, gas, and mortgage. You know, we'll just get that out of the way, and you know what I'm saying? Stuff somebody in the back room over there. That could work. And that's like the kind of creative, awesome mentality that like we have as people. But when you work for the light, when you work for God, okay, and there's no correlation here, I'm just using it as kind of like a thing. When you work for the light, you work for what's in the best interest of others. Does that make sense? That's how you can put a step forward for God. Okay? Is that, like I said, we still get to do the things we love, but we do them with a heart that is Christ-like minded. Like I said, the best way to really fulfill our purpose is to first engage in trial and tribulation, and then to help others facing it. A lot of people facing trial and tribulation alone. Okay. Now, in Cobb County, there's a place called the Extension. There's also the Salvation Army. And there's Must Ministries. All three, like I said, well, I went through Must, and it's exactly what people need, really. If they just got out of being institutionalized, they're spending every day in a bunk bed, just hanging out in the prison. I just did 18 months. Like I said, I got fucking, I had to go through this. I had to, like, you know, become the son of God. And like through the process was they were using sinners, people who had evolved into hell, way different than sinners, but they were using people who had evolved into hell to communicate with me. Really, I'm doing it for them, because they're being punished, and it's not their fault. It's this whole fucking system. So we're just changing the system. If you are, like I said, if you're a heavy sinner in Infinity United, there's like I said, there's just no place for you in my kingdom. It is so easy to live the right way. I mean, it's so easy. I mean, there's just, you've got to be just a complete, just idiot. You know, it's like there's so many avenues to express yourself and create yourself. There's so many avenues where you can, like, if you got a kind of a fucked up tick, you know, I do too. You know, it's like my favorite thing to do is like say something that'll get under my dad's skin. You know, so I get to see him kind of get angry at me a little bit. You know, it's like, you know, it's like we understand people. You know what I'm saying? It's like I really know I'm doing him a favor too, because that's how he likes to, you know, communicate with me. It's like, you know, so it's just we understand people, and there's, like I said, society understands people too, and everything is good. You know what I'm saying? Like that we have activity clubs that start right away. Like I said, whatever direction you kind of want to think you might want to take in your life. You know what I'm saying? If you've got a storyline, if you want to make an anime, if you want to make manga and later turn it into an anime, you know what I'm saying? All that's credited work. Um, like I said, it's just a completely different way of life than you know what I'm saying. So you gotta take your project. You know, it's like in every step of it. You know what I'm saying? You can walk this step way, walk this step way. You know, we're the Rome Coliseum, and you're just born in the center of it. And you can take any flight of stairs you want, and you can walk to a different flight if you don't like it. The view up there. Um, and like I said, it's just easy. You know, we start with the exploration grid. Then there's group activities that take place on it. Team activities and the sporting array. So this is my third video. I've been doing this all day here. So we were talking about the sporting array. So the sporting array is culture that we like get behind. But like we do massive. So at age 16, basically boys are going through physical training. It is at that precise age that they you know what I'm saying, that their muscles will grow faster and more developed and stay there forever. So you can expect 6 months during your 16th year that you're gonna grow your muscles and you're gonna look fucking good. Like we got some testosterone if you need it, you know what I'm saying, but go out there and fucking work out. We're doing exercise, we're doing fucking bodybuilding, so that you know, so that our people are equipped and, like I said, ready to satisfy a woman. You know, physically, you know, it's important. So that year is actually pivotal for that, and not just the football players should be strong. You know, so you know, that's pretty much how we do it. You know, it's like I was into drama at that age. You know, my nuts really didn't even drop until God gave me a reason to drop them. I kind of always looked down on myself. I'm not as good as the other boys. I'm not as fucking, I can't fit in as good as them. You know, and then when the transfer came to go into high school, it was like I stopped going because I was like embarrassed. I like dyed my hair. I like dyed my fucking hair, and like everybody saw. And like you know, it was just like I can't you know, and I started just like coping in these really unhealthy ways, and the snowball happened. So like Infinity House just kind of like and obviously that's you know, but like I said, we have like laboratories that are accessible to people who want to, like I said, a big one where people start. It's also a pretty big is the vitamins, nutrients, and oils laboratories, where you can, like I said, you can commission a scientist to mix up your formula, or you can go in there and learn how to do it yourself. And you can get your hair stuff and your soap stuff from there. You don't have to. We still have all the product food on the shelves, as well as the good stuff that, like Degree, for instance. Um, and it's like, this is how I like to, this is what I like to wear, you know. So but that stuff is fun too, because there's like side hustles you can do by like collecting materials and shit, and to go turn them in. It's cool, especially once I got control. You know what I'm saying? I'll start like planting you know super producers, so that people can go and get like a large quantity of, and then we like map that shit out too. So we're gonna continue to do the sign up, as we go along, as we get further and further down the line. But yeah, ultimately, like, it's heaven on earth. Anything you want to do, it's there. And it works for you. The commitment is that you got to go out and do something 9 months a year. Like I said, creative jobs take up about half of that. Red level jobs take up about, a month. You might count yourself out for a month, and you'll be trained up at red level jobs too. It's like, you'll be trained up as like a cashier. So everybody loves McDonald's. That's never gonna end. So like I said, if you want to be fucking trained up as a cashier, that can be your red level job. Factory red level jobs are like worth twice as much. So it's worth twice as much as a McDonald's red level job. So we share the burden of that. It's all like 2 weeks to a month a year, and then it's done. And there's always good service and good food. It's just know your position, know it well, and super easy. Like I said, it's the price to pay for a free world. Everybody puts one hand down, and then everybody is floating in midair, because none of us can feel we're holding anything. So, I used to say this analogy a little different. I was like, well, if the bus is coming up on a ditch, it's like we don't have to dive into the ditch. One man dive into the ditch, to save the bus while getting smushed in the process. But if we all get out and we work together, we can get the bus over the ditch. So, granted, we are going to have to slow down and, like, think, you know what I'm saying? But, like, that's what I'm making this video compilation for, is so that we have the opportunity to have an online source with content that just it's going to be organized into, okay, so how does the sporting array, how does the job mecca, how does the infinity house, how does the creative complex, how does family planting work, boarding school, right? What are all the different facets of lifestyles? What is, it's not just what is daily life like. It's what might my life look like in Infinity United. And like I said, it's like one of the most glorious things in the world to see like 2 16-year-old boys finishing up their manhood training for that year. And they run back to home and they're telling their mom and dad everything. We did this, and then we did this, and then we did this. It's like a controlled area of town where it's like safe, quote unquote. It's like a college, for instance, where they have their own police, except there's a lot less bullshit going on because they're fucking 15 to 21. Um, so the first 3 years there's like almost no bullshit going on, but they have that same sense of independence. That second, we want it to all be out of their system. So basically, by the time people turn 25, they're pretty much already done with everything. They're like, I had my fucking time in college, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and so pretty much our people are popping up, and they're free of their understanding of who they are inside the spirit world, as well as done with experimenting. And that's how they're coming out about age 25. It's a little bit different than spending our lives drinking and then going to AA. So pretty much we just anyway, but we're healthy and quit and legit by 25, set up with the whole package, right? So dating is allowed um with 18-year-olds. So like I said, you might have a fucking dude who's like I said ready to settle down with a wife, and he'll know where to fucking go look, you know. They'll be at the tower, and we have a really big population of purity. We basically inform of the physiological benefits of holding yourself and staying pure until you're 18, as well as the spiritual benefits, as well as the just like wholesomeness factor of it. So what we see here when we have this this like thing that's happened is we have men who know how to lead, and women who know who they are, kind of like converge in a wonderful way. And like I said, even if you like the guy, you're encouraged to date him for 3-6 months. Like I said, you'll know if she's soulmate level. You'll feel it like a fire inside of you. And that's really the one that you're looking for and nothing else. So if she doesn't bring a physical fire to your heart, just keep looking, buddy. So that's kind of how it works. Once the male is prepared, he will go search for a female. And like I said, those marriages are like lasting forever, literally forever. And they're strong, healthy couples. Like I said, our divorce rate is like non-existent, dude, for real. This is how you do it. Men grow the fuck up, and girls grow up too. Like I said, girls are growing up in a dormitory, right? So 15, 16, 17, they're in a fucking dormitory. And like then there's also there's a dormitory extended. And like their bonds are so strong, and they have the same expectations that the young men do. Like I said, small business, this is where you come in. Okay, each community is responsible for their own community, right? So if I'm a small business owner inside of community A, then it's my responsibility to swoop down to those youngsters' houses and pick them up for work and teach them a fucking lesson. Okay? We might have to teach them, like I said, I think that, like I said, I think landscaping is a good course. I think it teaches you the value of freaking really working your butt off in a hard day's summer heat. I think sales is another thing that's good to learn. I think independence is a good thing to learn, and we can learn that through and people management. So I know how to operate myself, and I kind of know how to operate other people. All that shit is already taught and standard knowledge so that we can focus. Like I said, it's like what is happening right now is that this knowledge is like kind of basically, let me tell you a story about marketing. Okay. So, um, let's talk about Joe Biden's election. Okay. So, he won the election in 2020 because a bunch of people lied because they were going to get something collectively out of him. Okay, so that's like a selfish motive that we teamed up to like purposefully like have somebody like in power who um basically was just unqualified, um and I'm not going to talk shit about Joe Biden because he's a strong man for making it through his term, and he's a strong man for um not getting exposed. Um, but what ended up happening was he got elected because the value of being honest, or the value of free bullshit, superseded the value of what's right. Um, so I don't take a lot of political stances, but that kind of tells you where we're at in America, is that people are willing to do that for the chance of getting freebies. So that's why we have all these cool new jobs, like fucking everything just that like doesn't even make sense. Like I can't believe I'm getting an accreditation for work for this. Like I play paintball for half the day, and I like pressure wash the paintball place for the other half of the day. You know, it's like I can join and play in the games, and I can fucking, and all I have to do is clean up after it. You know, it's like accredited work because you're in the community and working. You know, it's like, dude, pretty soon we're gonna have machines do all the farming. It's like off the table, you know, and then pretty soon we're gonna have, you know, all this fucking factory shit's off the table, you know, and it's like now we just got all these people either standing around doing nothing or being part of Infinity United, and that's pretty much like the best way I can explain the amount of just amazing jobs that we have. Like I said, is I got these genetically engineered trees that we can use shit paintballs. We militarize that. Basically, a cardio. It's not technically a cardiovascular vein, but it's like a I forgot the word. It's like a inside the stem. There's like a proto fucking. I'll have to remember. Slit. It's like a vein almost that runs throughout the heart of the plant, and like I said, it's like a target for us though. I'm fully loaded with paintballs, full of fertilizer. You know what I'm saying? We're driving out, and like we're like target hunting on the back of a Jeep. You know, but that's like farming work because we are giving necessary ingredients to plants. You know, and it's like I got the DNA for all that stuff. It's on the like to be clear. My mission is to get to the moon. Okay? My mission is to get to the moon. I can tell you how to build it for me to go up there and go download the fucking government software and get embryos for cool animals. Okay? And plants stuff. So that's all we need up there. Other than that, space is like, you know, a black void. You know, it's like we're pretty cool here at Earth. We got it pretty good. We're just not doing it right. yet. So, but I still got to get up there. I still got to get up there. Like I said, the software for the apps is up there, as well as the embryos for the animals. So it's really, really important that I get up there. So if I haven't been clear, I am asking for some donations. Like I said, I'm working for $950 every 2 weeks. So it is really, 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 really hard with all this like weight on my back. You know, it's like I've been trying to figure out like how I'm gonna tell this message. You know, it's like really not that big of a deal. You know, we still have 5 years before the force field, it's called the firmament, gets weak because of our inaction. So all we have to do is like start listening to me, and then it's like all of a sudden like that force field is nice and strong. Like, okay, so there is a second coming. God is real, right? How many of us have been feeling trapped for 15, 20 years? And all the preachers got to say is, dream and chase your dreams. And you're sitting there like, I can't even fucking eat. You know, it's like, I can't even fucking sleep anymore. Because I'm rattled with doing the fucking right thing. How many of you feel like that? And I'm here to tell you that God is good. God is good. And as His son, I try to be the best that I can be. Infinity United is His gift to us. It was forged on the foundation of my own sufferings and what I wished I would have got out of life. Not what I actually got, of course. Infinity United is such a good civilization. Yeah, we do like sponsored war games. I already told you a little bit about that before, but it's not just, you know, paintball and modern warfare arenas. We're going all out like smashing 2 destroyers together and shit. We don't need that shit. There's nobody outside. There's no invaders coming into Earth. We're protected. It's just us down here. I will let you know when we're ready to do that. And like I said, that's not even going to be until, like I said, space. We don't need to be thinking about space right now. We need to be thinking about pimping out this planet so that it's ready for the space era. Okay? This is us. This is humanity. Do you want to be a part of it? Like I said, there is no just Drew worship. There is no just Drew anything. Keep that stuff to yourself. God is good, and He really is just like a thank God, you know? Like I said, there is some good study that not only I have done, but my people have done as well, involving the power of prayer, releasing love, energy. Like I said, we're talking about space era stuff here. So when we pray, make sure you pray with feeling. When you pray, make sure you have some heart in it. When you say grace, say something that matters. Because that is the true power of God. It lies and our emotions and our blessings come from our hearts. So remember, if it isn't sincere, it's not even worth saying. The actual church is where we answer prayers. We take index cards directly to the pastor. Hey, this is what's happening. This is like after Infinity United, dude. Like, I'm talking about like 98% or more of all problems just stop dead in their tracks. All right, but like if you should happen to have a prayer, we go directly to the church that you live nearest to. Hey, it's like my kid is overeating and jacking off all day. And I don't really know what to do about it, but I'm worried, and like the pastor would get those like confidentially and try to arrange an action plan for the church to take. Like I said, it would be like, or my son Billy won't get out of the house, he needs a job, something like that, and it's all anonymous, okay? And then the pastor will go ahead and read, hey, we had an anonymous person ask if anyone has a job for their son, and then like I said, somebody would raise their hand and be like, yeah, I have a job for somebody's son in this church, and it's through, and then after that, okay, hey, this is the guy who had the prayer. Yeah, hey, what's going on? Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm the guy answering it. I've been there before. That was kind of a strange example. But so like I said, but yeah, so we answer prayers in the real now, like I said, at the church. Nobody can read your mind, so just know that you are calling Jesus into your head when you pray in your head. So, like I said, we don't want, like I said, this is a sealed firmament, all right? And there's going to be no fucking buddy looking down on you, right? We got each other, we got God, we're good, okay? And Jesus is going to be down here too. So, dang it, I gotta fucking change that.